Let's look at page 64 in your Headway Upper Intermediate English student's book. This is in Unit 7. We're studying modal auxiliary verbs, and we're also studying different ways to express the same idea as a sentence with a modal auxiliary verb. Okay? So it's important to notice the instructions say rewrite the sentences using the words in brackets. But when we rewrite the sentence, we're not just going to change grammar. We might actually change the words a lot and express the same idea, but using different words. Okay? So rewrite the sentences using the words in brackets. Number 1, here is the original sentence. I just know it'll rain at the weekend. We're going to use the word bound to express the same idea, but with different words. Instead of saying, I just know, we could also say something like, it's bound to. It's bound to rain at the weekend. This doesn't have the exact same meaning, but it's pretty close. We're not specifying in the second sentence the answer I have for you here in green. We're not saying specifically, I know. But if you're saying it, we assume that you know it. The idea here is that in spoken English especially, we're expressing the same idea. Number 2, he gave up smoking after 3 attempts. We have the verbs manage and succeed. Now, give up, to give up with a verb in ing is to stop doing something, to quit. 3 attempts, this means he tried 3 times. So, for the verb manage, we can say, he managed to give up smoking after 3 attempts. Remember, when we say manage to, that means that a person did something even though it was difficult. For succeed, we can say, he succeeded in giving up smoking after 3 attempts. Number 3. Can you tell which twin is which? When you have 2 babies born together, often they look a lot alike. These are called twins. And when we say which is which, this means which one, right? I used to know 2 twins. One of them was named Billy, the other was named Matt, and they looked exactly alike. So I couldn't tell which one was Billy and which one was Matt. I couldn't tell which was which. Now, for able, instead of saying can you, we ask, are you able to tell which is which? Are you able to tell which twin is which? Number 4. My parents say I can't go abroad to study. Remember, with allow, we use the expression to be allowed to. So, I'm not allowed to go abroad to study. My parents are the ones who make that decision. We understand that. Let is another word with the same meaning as allow, but for this one we would probably say, my parents won't let me. My parents won't let me go abroad to study. Number 5. You should take it back and complain. Now, these are hints at what we should do, these words in parentheses, for if. You may recall studying the second conditional. If I were you, I would take it back and complain. If I were you, I would take it back and complain. This is a hypothetical suggestion. I'm imagining that I was in that situation. But we often say sentences like this with if I were you as a little bit of an indirect way to give advice to people. For better, we can also give advice with had better. You'd better take it back and complain. That you'd, this you apostrophe D is not for you would, it's actually for you had. You'd better take it back and complain. Number 6. I should wear a suit for work, but I often don't. Supposed, well, when there's a rule or when people expect something, we often say supposed to. I'm supposed to wear a suit for work, but I often don't. Number 7, you mustn't tell anyone about it. We have better and we have promise. Again, we're looking for sentences that are basically the same idea, or other sentences you might say in the same situation. We're not looking for exactly the same grammar, or even exactly the same literal meaning. So, you mustn't tell anyone about it. You'd better not tell anyone about it. Promise me you won't tell anyone about it. And number 8. He said he wouldn't put out his cigarette. We're using the word refuse. This is when a person says no. He refused to put out his cigarette. He refused to put out a cigarette. So again, these are just different expressions we can use to say more or less the same idea. Sometimes not with the same literal meaning, but sentences that we could change, maybe one for another, in a conversation. So, as always, I hope that was helpful.